So one of the things I want to ask you about, especially with your background with addiction issues and mental health and substance abuse, people who have been told, okay, stay at home, you know, how disruptive is that to them in their treatment? And then if they do have issues and they're in recovery, such a like a drastic, such a drastic just change to their normal routine. How does that affect people?
I mean, drastically for sure. Especially those who are involved in, the 12-step program, used to, clinging on to going to meetings, attending those things, being in community with people, and now having those, of course, those are all shut down now, as far as face-to-face meetings. And, kind of the opposite of addiction is connection, not isolating and being by yourself and kind of hiding. And now we're being told to, isolate and stay by ourselves. It's kind of counterintuitive to a lot of people's recovery. The good news is that there are all of the 12-step meetings have moved online now. So you can do like phone meetings, you can do virtual meetings, things like that. But definitely the isolating is going to be, people's biggest pitfall.
It's just got to be so hard, especially just, if I do mostly drunk driving and people have alcohol issues. Some of them do, not all my clients. And, you see people doing so well. And then, I just can't even imagine such a disruption. It's just, yeah, it's got to just be catastrophic. And then, you're talking about some of the options, virtual, one of the things that Governor Holcomb in Indiana, he did say healthcare is essential. And that includes, mental health and whatnot. But even though they're saying, hey, you can come, who wants to travel in this climate and who wants to get a chance of getting sick? So tell me some more about things that you've incorporated in your private practice to continue treating people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to say I have 5, quick tips that I'd like to give at the end, as far as ways to kind of deal with this pandemic, whether or not you're struggling with addiction or just being trapped inside. But kind of to answer your question, as far as with my private practice, we offer telehealth services. So, so even though our office is closed and we can't do face-to-face, we are doing telehealth, which is basically kind of like what me and you are doing, only on a more HIPAA compliant platform. And I mean, so far it's been going really well for people. It helps add to the schedule, staying in routine, staying in a connection. And then of course we work on like what are some coping skills that we can do and just really coming up with like a game plan, so to speak.
People that are struggling with addiction, overcoming addiction, what are some things they can do to help them stay on this good path where they're doing so well on?
For sure. Well, the first thing I'd say is be flexible, right? Like don't stick to this. I think a lot of times we stick in this rigid, this is my plan, blah, blah. And there is no, game plan, so to speak, for a pandemic. Like nobody knows what to do right now. So being flexible of, okay, my meeting might not be like in person. I might not go to the same church, or, oh, my therapist is online now. This is weird, but again, being flexible with what that's going to look like. The other, kind of pointer I'd say is stay connected. And, now is the best time if ever to have, I guess, a pandemic, because we have so many platforms that it's hard to be like, well, there's no one to talk to. That's not true. We have social media, we have video, there's FaceTime, Snapchat even has video, Facebook, all those things. There's plenty of ways to stay connected to people. The other thing I'd say is get off of devices though. What I mean by that is let's not panic scroll, right? Like how many times at night we're sitting there and we're panic scrolling through, the news or through Facebook, whatever, just like, getting freaked out on our phone. So limiting that time instead of staying caught up and like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, we're all gonna die, because that's not gonna help. And then the other thing is do stick to a schedule as much as you can. If you get up normally at 8 and eat oatmeal, get up at 8 and eat oatmeal and then go about your day the best that you can. And of course, again, going back to tip 1, there's going to be some flexibility in there, right? Like, oh, my kid needs me to help with their school versus me going and watching my YouTube video. All right, you're gonna have to be flexible in that. And the last thing I would say is really work on being mindful. What is going on, in your mind, also like what you're feeling, because it's normal to feel, scared, overwhelmed, confused even. So being mindful of like how you're feeling, because that's going to be a big, it's going to be a really big help, if especially when you struggle with substance use, to be able to be like, oh, I'm getting that red flag, I'm getting triggered, I'm feeling, those emotions come up that typically lead to me drinking. I feel isolated, I feel alone, I feel stressed. Okay, those are the top big 3 things that lead me to, going and, getting that drink.
Just listening to you talk, I feel like I'm learning some skills, and it's really cool because, this is such a Indiana Supreme Court judge. He refuses to call this the new normal, so we're all referring it to as a temporary abnormal. And
Yeah.
you just mentioned, trying to be cognizant of what's going on in your mind and your heart. And I've definitely got caught up in the panic scroll at 3:00 in the morning. And it's like, I have to separate myself. Like I'm gonna go for a walk or something. Aly, what is the best way to contact you?
You're reachable by phone and by email. My email is ally@groffenassociates.com. And my phone number is 317-474-6448, extension 108.